Hello gang, hello friends, hello gang friends. Welcome back. Thank you for joining me today for, what's this video? Oh, it's Jack Skellington. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for being here. You guys are the best. If you're new, hello. My name's Jo Sif. It's just Jo. And I do nail stuff and stuff with nails. We're going to start this with an ombre using Hear Me Roar and I Wasn't Looking. That's not the name of the colour. I just wasn't paying attention. These are Madame Glam colours. You can get money off there. Look in the description. There's codes for loads of good nail places for money off. So head to the description and save yourself some money. Right, housekeeping's out the way. We're ombreing these with the Madame Glam ombre brush. And then we're going to mentally prepare ourselves to try and describe how to draw Jack Sparrow. Jack Sparrow? No. Jack Skellington. It is my first time drawing this character, so, you know, go easy on me. Or go hard on me? That doesn't sound right. Yeah. Right, ready? Here we go. I've wiped and buffed so we can see better. And we're going to start with a text message. We're going to start with a square. I was going to say rectangle. It's a square. This is going to be our guide for drawing his head, which isn't a perfect circle. You can do it a perfect circle if you want, but it's easier not to. And then we're going to divide this square in half with a vertical line, which we'll use later. And then at the bottom, we're going to go from one side to the other with a relatively shallow curve. And then on top, we're going to do the same, but this is going to be a bit of a deeper curve, a bit of a taller curve. And then we'll join the sides of those together, coming out sort of the depth of the side bits are sort of halfway between the depth of the top and the bottom one. Yeah? Okay. And now we're going to do a horizontal line halfway across the square. And then in this corner, we're going to do a C. And then in the other corner, we're going to do a back to front C. And then we're going to come from the top of that C, we're going to come down and then like a slide, down and then curves off straight. And that will go to the center line of the top part of that main square. And now we're going to curve that bit to that bit, the two ends together, and that will be his eyes. I'm going to wipe away at the middle a little bit because I don't want them touching. So we'll wipe that away and just correct those, make them a bit shorter in width. There we go. Okay, we'll just make sure it's all curved. So where our C then came into a slide, make sure it joins as a curve, not as a point. And then we're going to add his neck just with two lines coming in either side of that vertical line down the square. We can use that as a guide, and then we'll square that off, and then either side we're going to come out a little angle just like that. And then from the bottom of those lines we're going to bring them in to meet each other. That is a bat head for his bow tie, his bat tie. And then out from the bat's head, we're going to come up in a big curve and then off the page, off the nail. And then another one coming out and down. And then in between, we're going to make V's. So we'll turn that into a V, bloody light line in the way. And then we'll get a V in between those two. And then a V off the page. And then we'll do the same on this side. Up and off the page, and then we'll do the bottom one just so we know how much room we've got to fit the, you know, we can determine the size of our V's based on how much space we've got. So we'll bring that one down into a V and then get another V in the middle and then one coming off the page. How am I doing? Am I doing okay? I feel like it's going okay. We haven't finished yet though. And then just up a bit from the inside of that V, the V's in the middle, we're going to come down into a point, just like that. That's going to be his shirt, that section now. And then from the bottom of that, we're going to do a curve up to the wing. And when we outline, we do actually go beyond the wing where the curve would go. That's his collar, his like lapel. And then also from the center of the bottom of his shirt, we're going to do a curve outwards. And then we're just going to go up at a bit of an angle outwards to the wings. So another curve coming from the middle of the shirt, and then an angled line going up to the bat wings. There we go. We've got a big W in the middle. And that is the bottom of his jacket, his tux jacket. Is it a tuxedo or a suit? I was wearing a bow tie. I'm going to go tuxedo. And then we're coming in and curving out just a little bit. That's his skinny body. So just a slightly curved line coming down from the bottom of his jacket. And then for his legs, which are super skinny, we're going to do 2 more curves, just like that, an upside down V. And that is, we haven't done his arms yet, but we get to those later. And that's it, we'll cure. Hard parts out the way. Oh, I think it went okay. I might not think that when I listen back. But now we're going to use black gel paint, the Madame Glam one. I did the outline with white gel paint, which I've been told they've been discontinued, their black and white gel paints. I know, I have very much voiced my distraughtedness at this and said, and the lady I speak to there, she said she's had a few people message about it. So hopefully they'll stop discontinuing it. They'll undiscontinue it. But if not, I'll have to find some from somewhere else. But I really love these. So hopefully they'll bring them back. But I'm guessing it's because there's something that's stopping them being able to do it. Otherwise, there'd be no reason otherwise. Just having fun, putting some white on his face. Gave him a little smiley face and a tongue. But we're going to fill all of the white bits in now. So his head, his neck, and his shirt. Okay. Right. How is everybody? Is everybody okay? I hope so. I have been reading all your comments. I really appreciate them. And some of them crack me up. I read them late at night when I can't sleep. Probably because I'm looking at my phone. I'm just giggling to myself at 5 in the morning. I'm not using the white gel paint for this. I'm using Riverwalk, which is a Madame Glam colour. 30% is the discount you can get with Madame Glam. That's bananas. With my code. What was I saying? Riverwalk. Yes, it's one of their whites. So they've got Riverwalk and Perfect White, and I think I prefer Riverwalk for a white. Perfect White is got a more blue tone to it. And I've said this before, you know when you have the blue light filter on your phone, which I have set to come on at 9 PM, the white that you see, no, because that does go a bit yellowy, doesn't it? When you turn the blue light filter off and suddenly all the white looks really blue, that's a bit like Perfect White. It's white until you maybe compare it to a different white. So it's got a bluey tint. Now I'm making people think that Perfect White is blue. It's not at all. It's white. It's perfect. But Riverwalk is definitely a different white. And I think I prefer it. There we go. I asked how you guys were, and I've just been talking about myself and my opinions. Sorry, selfish. I mean, I did ask how you were, and nobody answered me. I didn't hear anything. So I just had to carry on talking. Just doing this bit here. So that's the shirt. It's kind of like a heart shape now. And then we full cured. And now, instead of a black for his suit, because we won't be able to see the outlines, I do wish I'd taken a lighter grey actually. But this one's got shimmer in it. This is from a brand that doesn't exist anymore. So I can't tell you where to get this. But don't use a black. Don't use the same, or don't use a black. because when you outline it, you won't see it. So use a charcoal or a grey. I do wish I'd gone a bit lighter with this, but it does have shimmer in, so it didn't take much thinking about really. So we'll go over his bat tie and his suit, which I fill in section by section for some reason. It's all the same colour, maybe just as a refresher of where all the lines are before we cover them up. Let's use that as the reason why. So we're going to do everything that's left in this shimmery grey. Did anyone see on, I think it was on Netflix, the film Nowhere with the girl in the shipping container? I watched it the other night, and then I looked at something online. We're talking about films now, and someone gave it a really bad review, and I thought it was really good. It was like The Fall, but lost at sea in a shipping container. I liked it. It's worth a watch. It's dubbed, but there's not much sort of focus on the mouths of the people, so you don't really notice it that much. Just a little close up to prove that he is shimmery. Ah, he's all sparkly. I think he'd like it. And we cured that, and now his mouth. So from the centre, we're going to come out quite straight and then curve and go all the way up almost to the eye. So we're going to come straight out and then curve quite late and really high up on the sides. And then we're going to add little stitches. So just little, they're sort of, well, they're not commas. They're just dashes, but I've given them a little bit of a curve. So I'll curve the ones on that side inwards and these ones inwards. But because they're both inwards, they're different because they're on different sides. And then his nose is just two little ovals, or kind of a cross between an oval and a teardrop, pointing inwards. And then we're going to start outlining slowly and carefully. Take your time. Don't rush. I paint really slowly. I'm using the double trouble brush from Ball Pit Nails. And I've used it for everything apart from the ombre. And I love it. I love this brush. It's so good. And it has the wipey uppy, what is it called? Clean up brush on the other end, which is also good for blending, and we use it for both things in this video. So the outline of his face, the bottom of his head does cross over the neck, and then we're going to outline pretty much in the same order that we drew him in the first place, just because that's what we remember, and it makes the most sense. So I hope you can see. I'm not sure how well you can see the outlines going on, but they are going on. And you can see the brush. It's quite a bendy brush, which took a bit of getting used to because it bent more easily than other brushes, but I love it now and I'm used to it now. So you can see that I'm putting very little pressure down to get as thin a line as possible. So with his bat wings here, just marking out, remembering where the point of the bat wing on the inside, you know, closest to his chest, came a bit further down on the shirt than where the angle of the side of the shirt changes. That did make sense, I'm sure of it, but maybe because it was in my head, it was made more sense than it might do to you. And then we had the bottom of his jacket, so the curve, the lapel, the collar as well, from the bottom of the shirt coming out. And now we're just bringing the collar up beyond the bat wing, because it would have gone there. But we didn't do that when we sketched it out. So the line would have carried on behind the part of the wing. And then on this side here, I've just filled it in grey, because we're going to have an arm coming out and I didn't have much room for it. So I filled in a gap between two parts of the wing on that side. And then we're adding a skinny rectangle on either side. These are going to be his arms. So here, this is what I just did on the other side, but I filled in the whole gap. Just where his arm would come out of where your arm comes out of, your shoulder. So we needed more grey there, otherwise his arms are just separate from his body. And then we will cure that. Yeah. Okay. And then I didn't want to overthink this, so we're going to do skeleton fingers just by doing little sort of thick dashes. Just a thick dash, or we're just giving him, going across where the cuff ends, and then bringing a line down, leaving a gap, and then doing a shorter line. It's as if, so his palms are touching his body, which is a pretty weird pose. But I couldn't get technical with this. I needed it to be easy. So just dashes and leaving gaps between them make them look like skeleton fingers. And we've only done the thumb, so the shorter one on the inside of his trousers. This one is his thumb. And then we've got two more fingers because the others would be behind those, so you wouldn't see it. Yeah? Just a stroke, leave a gap, and another stroke. That will do. Yeah. And then we're going to, I say that a lot, that will do. It's fine. There's a happy medium between not good enough, wipe it, do it again, and meh, that'll do. You've got to find that happy medium. So now we're outlining the bones because we've got a good brush. Let's put it to work and try and outline tiny things that are next to each other that we want to outline, but we don't want the outline of each side of them to be touching. So we're using just the very, very, very tip of the brush to outline these. You wouldn't have to outline them if you didn't want to, and you could, maybe once adding pinstripes, could be done there. But I do faff because I like to faff like a fucking champion. So we're adding little eyes to his bat head. Oh, Dex is going bananas. Hang on. Okay, I'm back. He's fine. He's just being a dog. So now we're going to add horizontal stripes to his collar. And don't worry in the slightest about whether these are straight, thick, thin, whatever, just, or even, because they're not. His pinstripes are all sort of wiggly. They're not perfectly straight pinstripes. So I'm trying to wiggle the brush a little bit because my brain naturally wants to try and do them straight and all exactly the same, but they are a bit wiggly. So the ones on his collar go horizontal, and the ones on coming down on his jacket are vertical, as are the ones on his trousers. And the bat eyes, they aren't even, and then I make them even more uneven when I outline them. But I kind of thought it looked okay being like that. You know? Some things just aren't worth doing again when you can't be bothered. But I thought it didn't look odd that one of his eyes ends up, the bat eyes looks a bit smaller than the other one. It's fine. So more pinstripes, giving them a little bit of a wiggle. And then we're going to define the separation between the clothes in a minute. Oh, I forgot to press record. I've done wiggly lines coming through the bat wings. And then on the inside of the outline of the bat, I've done white, just to kind of try and separate it again a bit more from everything else. But we will define them when we come to shading and faffing, when we get to the faff stage. So we're going to carefully outline the eyes. Now they look weird shapes and sizes, but it's fine. Again, it's just fine. And then pinstripes up his arms. There we go. And then, yeah, you could stop here and be done. He looks cool. But I wanted him to look a bit more evil. So imagine you're coming up from this line of the eye, and then come out of the head, and then you're coming down with the shape of the eye. So we're following the shape of the eye and just bringing his head out a bit more. to create these sort of evil brow bones. So we'll do the same on this one. Follow the shape of the eye. I'm not painting there, I'm just following it. And then paint in line with, if that eye was sticking out the head, that's the shape it would be. So we'll fill those in. This is with the River Walk again. And then we're going to cure, just sort of blending that onto the rest of the white. And then we're going to outline those bits and probably cure again, constantly curing or flash curing. And then, oh, I've added lines from his eyes. Did I not get that on camera? What a wally. This is BPCA06, my trusty Born Pretty black jelly polish. You need it. It's so good. Their jellies are so good for shading. I love their stuff. I've had some more stuff arrive today that I can't wait to show you from them. And there are, you can get a discount there as well. I'll put it on screen. So from his brows that were now sticking out his head, we're using the jelly polish to follow the shape of the eye, but obviously leaving a gap between the line we're doing and the eye. And then before curing, we're going to take the other end of the brush, the cleanup end, which is also a blendy end, and we're going sort of halfway into the line we've created and just feathering it out. And then we're going to do the same with the feathered out bit. We're going to feather out the feathered out bit. Yeah? Yeah, you see underneath his eyes, I've added lines. I don't know if that was on camera, but just from the corner of the centre of his eye, I just came down and gave him little sort of bags under his eyes. Or sockets, I suppose, considering he has no flesh. So we're blending out these lines. And then I'll probably cure just to be safe before moving on. This brush is great for blending out. I like that. Oh, I'm adding a little bit more of the jelly. Just wanted to make that a bit darker. And then we're going to do the same, following the lines we brought out from the eyes. We're going to use the jelly and then blend it out. But I think I end up just patting over the whole thing just to make it look like a socket. You know, the black of his eye, the actual eye, is kind of sunken because it's a hole. So we're using the jelly, the Born Pretty jelly, and we're just going to pat over it. And if you pat and get rid of a bunch, then just do it again. You know, add more, take some away if you need to. Yeah, I'm just adding more where I was kind of getting rid of some of it when I was patting. So I'm just patting a bit lighter. So I'm patting it on the nail as opposed to kind of soaking it up with the brush because I was patting too hard. Okay. And now we're going to go along the bottom of his mouth. So the underneath the big smile line, not that kind of smile line. And do the same. We're going to pat just to blend it out a bit. I wasn't looking at a picture for most of this. Most of the shading-y stuff, because I couldn't find one with his eyebrows, his brow bones, like I've done them. I probably should have done him with his head turned to the side a bit and only one of them been poking out of his head. So I'm kind of making up the shading. We're putting some at the top of his neck and down the side of it a bit, because that will be the shadow from his head. And I used this part of the brush, the blender end, to do that. And then I'm adding some, doing the same again here, adding some of the jelly polish and then just sort of fading it out a bit at the top of the brow bone, which doesn't really make much sense, but I was just trying to make him look a bit more sinister and sort of less cartoony and more depthy, a bit more dimensionally. And we're doing the same on the nose, adding some shading and then blending it out. Just again, so they look sunken, you know, they look like holes. And now, I'm getting a sore throat now. And now we're going to pat, using the blender end, pat some of the jelly on his shirt just to sort of unwhiten it a bit so it's not as crisp and white. And then I'm going to add little dashes of the jelly polish to one side of every single stitch I think I might go over the same one or in the wrong place a couple of times. Every time I took my brush off to re-dip, I couldn't remember or see where I was, and my eyes were getting a bit blind. So we'll go all the way along there. I'm not going to blend those out. And then we're going to take the jelly polish and do some shading inside his shirt bit. So we're going to go down the sides, and we're going to go under the bat head to sort of lift it away from the shirt a bit. You know, clothes aren't skin tight touching each other. There's gaps and things. Oh, we're adding a bit of shading to the right side of each bone. I was just enjoying myself, really. I was just having fun, so just wanted to faff like a fucking champion. So that's what we're doing there. And now we're taking the jelly and we're going to go under the collar. See, under the line that's the collar, to lift it away from the rest of the jacket, to define it a bit more, to separate them. So we'll go under those, and then we'll go under the bottom of the jacket to lift it away from the trousers a bit. And I leave this quite dark, but I'm going to blend it. So we're going to go in between the legs as well. I don't know, a shadow from the opposite leg, maybe? But before curing, we're going to blend this out again. Just a teeny tiny bit, which I think I've done everywhere, but hadn't pressed record, so I'm just going over it to show you. Just blended it out a smidgeroo. And now, and then, we're going along the bottom of his face with a very thin line of the jelly and just patting it a little bit to soften. I just want him to look not like a, you know, shiny new skull, like a, you know, a worn and weathered skull a bit. So just adding sort of patchy, just dirt. It's just dirt. It's just been rolling around in the mud. There's not much logic to where the shadows are. So we'll just say he's dirty. I've cured the stitches shading, so I'm just wiping any extra that got on it just then away. This, oh, I'm so excited about this. I will show you all these products soon. This is Ball Pit Nails, one of the polishes from the collection. This is called Poltergeist. It's amazing. Look how nice that is. It's the perfect name for it as well. How good is that name? So we're going to go over all the purple with this. I'll use the bottle brush here, and then I'll use a detailer brush. Yeah, just the last thing I wiped on his face, where I did the shading at the bottom of his face, I then wiped, cleaned off over his mouth, because I'd already cured the shading on that, just so that anything I'd accidentally got there was wiped off. Okay? Are you okay? Is that all right? Great. Yeah, these polishes, I can't wait to use them. But I had to use this one in the background for this because it's so nice. And because he lost a lot of the shimmer from his suit where we've put all the stripes and everything on it, I thought he needed a bit of shimmer, so let's use this. Had I thought about it earlier, I could have put it after doing the ombre at the beginning. But then I suppose this way, instead of Jack being a layer above the background, because we've now done background around him, this layer of Poltergeist, everything's on the same layer, you know? I'm just making excuses for the fact that I didn't think about it until now. Oh, I'm taking some light grey and I'm patting it in the bottom corners of his eyes and going up the side a bit. And then I'm going to blend it into the black, just a little bit. And then I'm going to cure that and do it again, because the first one, I wanted more, but I wanted to do it in 2 separate layers because it just, you know, because if I'd have put too much on at the beginning, then I wouldn't have got the blend as nicely as I wanted. So I did it in 2 layers and just blended it into the black. And now they look more like holes in his face, in his skull, as opposed to just big, you know, they looked too 2D. for my liking. Not that he looks 3D at all, but I think it just gave them a bit more depth. And then we top coated and now we're done. And that is my first ever Jack Skellington. I hope you like it. The poll was leaning heavily towards proper, in air quotes, Jack Skellington over Hello Kitty. I would like to do the Hello Kitty ones at some point though. So that's him. I just sort of came closer to the camera to show you that amazing shimmer in Poltergeist. Let me know what you think in the comments. I love to hear from you. Who do you think is going to be next? It's not a difficult guess to make. I appreciate you being here so much. I really do. I hope you have a lovely day and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.